Eric, good to see you.
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, I can say it's been a while because we never met, right?
Right? Yeah.
So you're from the United States of America,
Yep. I'm from born and raised in Salt Lake City,
Salt Lake
Utah.
City. Is that
Yeah.
the Flatlands?
No, we have mountains. We're in the Rocky Mountains.
Wow, that must be quite a sight then.
Yeah.
That's cool. We don't have that here in the Netherlands. This is flat. This is totally flat.
Yeah, we
But
had the Winter Olympics in 2002.
okay, cool. So it was really nearby. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was cool. I got to go to a few events.
Okay. How's the sound from me? Is it all right for you?
Yeah, you sound great. How am I?
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Sweet.
Okay, let's hit it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow humans, welcome to another episode of Disorganized Productions. Today we have a special guest. His name is Eric Finna. Is it good pronounced?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Finish. I think
Finnish, yeah, because I think it's Swedish or Finnish.
Swede Finns. So
Sweet
they're
Finns.
yeah.
Hit the jackpot directly. Cool. But you live all your life in America, right?
Yeah, my great grandfather from that side, my grandfather's father, he came over in like the 1920s. And so, yeah, I'm third generation on that side, born in America.
Okay. Have you ever been to Finland?
Yes, I've been at there three times actually.
Wow, it's a beautiful country, eh?
Oh, it's awesome. It's yeah. I've been all the way up to I can't remember the town, but where they have the big Santa Claus village up above the Arctic Circle, like way up north in Lapland, where the
Wow.
where the people have reindeers for pets.
Cool. And talking about reindeers, um, I saw on the notes because a shout out to Snake Turbanhead who make the notes for me, and of course shout out also to my brothers from the Firmamental. Firmamental podcast. I will put the link in the show description. That's the way I had to say it. Um, Eric, you're 42 years old. You work with your 27 year old stepson. You have two daughters, and yeah, I was digging into reindeers because I saw that you also did something with mushrooms, right? Or you had.
Yeah, yeah. I used to partake a lot when I was young, and then we used to have a nice big camp out where once a year we would get together and have a big ceremony and sit around the fire and have a reset and a download and but I haven't done it for a few years. Kind of like I think it's that Alan Watts quote: once you've got the message, hang up the phone. Kind
Uh,
of.
yeah, and be careful.
Yeah, like I'm not saying maybe way down the road in the future, but right now I'm pretty good. Like I'm in a good space.
Hmm. Yeah, because that was the first thing that popped up in my mind when I heard you say about reindeers. I know that the people in Finland, Sweden, and stuff like that, when they have reindeers, the reindeers can eat the Amanita muscaria, which is very hard to digest for humans, and you
Yes.
trip. Yeah, you have a big trip when you do that. But they gather the pee and they drink that.
Yeah, they filter the urine and drink it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
it's 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 quite a funny story if you listen to it, but it makes sense. It's all digested by the animal,
Yeah.
and probably they have some really good stories in the late night when you look at the northern lights in the snow and when things like that come popping up, right?
Oh, I'm sure they get a good trip and take a sauna. Yeah, go outside, look at the stars.
Yeah, exactly. What is because you told me that you did it quite some years, right? So like gathering together with a bonfire and just eat some mushrooms. What was one of your best trips that you had?
So one of them, when we just went up in the mountains when we were young, this one was probably at least 20 years ago, because I'm 42. So this was probably when I was like 19, 20-ish. And we were just up in the mountains with a group of friends, about five of us. And it was just one of those ones where it all goes well. Like I've always had, when I've been out in nature, the trip usually goes well.
Hmm,
When inside a city or a house or technology, it can go sideways.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah, we've had, down at Lake Powell. Lake Powell's a big man-made reservoir that they made when they created the Hoover Dam.
Hmm.
Uh, had a couple really good ones down in that area, down in southern Utah, and had some fun up on the ski slopes too, on some days. And then yeah, just like I said, the one you're probably thinking of was the one I talked about on George's show. Shout out to George, and yeah, shout out to Raul and Alex and
Exactly.
everybody. Cliff from Truth to Face, Scipio, the whole little group. Everyone's awesome. Shout out to Snake. Everybody's this little group's just badass. And
Absolutely.
the one I was talking about was we had a really heavy dose that year. We made a really big tea and we got wild, and that's when I was first getting into like biblical cosmology, the flat earth and the geocentrism and I was looking up at the sky and it just looked different that year. Like I could see like the sacred geometry, the pixelation, like the honeycomb and the all the different shapes and patterns of like what I thought was the firmament. I was like, wow, am I really, is
Wow.
this it was really intense. And it was that was a trip that was really off and on, like how it comes in waves. Like I was having a real good time, and some of the people that night weren't have it was a little too intense for them. So I don't know. But it was a fun one. It kind of it shook the group up after that one.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, I totally agree with you. When you're in nature, you see more, you hear more, you're going to collect some answers.
Yeah,
We always had a path what we walked when we had some mushrooms and stuff like that, and I literally talked to trees and stuff like that, and it was it doesn't make sense when you tell it now because you're sober, right? But when you win that trip, it makes so much sense, especially old trees and stuff like that, like 200 300-year-old trees.
yeah.
They tell stories, man, and it's not like, yeah, you're tripping your balls off. No, 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 no. This is they told me really some things.
Well, that's where they said that they got the concoction for ayahuasca was the told by the forest spirits down there and
Mm,
told them to take that tree root and then the plant and mix it together to get that, to have that teaching from that. And they always say that plants aren't sentient or intelligent, and I don't believe that. Like, they've shown studies where you play the sound of crickets or an insect and
hmm.
the tree and the plants release a toxin to change their flavor or close up their flowers or whatever. And there's that whole mycelium network under the ground of the mushrooms that they communicate and grow through. Like, and then
Exactly.
you see when they put the electrodes on them and it plays the music in different
With the
frequencies.
plant wave. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, love
amazing.
that.
It's amazing. Like, so I think there's a lot of I think they're sentient beings, and I mean there's plants that move and stuff. They know how to drop their seeds and grow ways so the animals catch their buds and transfer them to plant elsewhere and stuff. Like, it's very
Exactly.
very intelligent species, I think.
I think it's one of the oldest, or probably the oldest organism in this world,
Yeah,
and you can find it everywhere, even on rocks of lava and stuff like that. And I really dig into Paul Stamets. He has
yeah,
some great studies about the mycelium and what some kind of mushrooms can do for humans. The fungi could eat oil, so when there's oil spill and stuff like that, and they have so much natural abilities that we are not aware of at this moment.
for sure.
Of course, nowadays you see more and more that people are drinking a tea about lion's mane or turkey tail, the normal stuff, the reishi. That's one that I use also. um, but I think one of the most fascinating stories that I heard from Paul Stamets is that they had lined up with all the best architects in the world, and I think it was in subway in Tokyo, and they had to they made the sketches and stuff like that. And he said, you know what, I'm gonna put mycelium into this, and let's see how that one responds. And I think the first few days nothing happened, but within 5 or 6 days the mycelium made a network that was more effective, and really astounded uh, by scientists, like, wow, how did that made up? And
Right.
just like you said, I think it's one of the oldest consciousness of the world, and it goes like miles and miles, hundreds of miles under the earth. And it opens up when we walk barefoot, when we throw away some food and stuff like that in the forest. And that's so amazing, man. It's
And
really
they're also one of the only organisms like us that take in oxygen and put out carbon, you know? So
exactly.
they breathe like we do. So speaking of that mycelium network, I've said this before, but to me it blew my mind when I learned that from Stamets about all that, and it just made me think back to some of the burial rituals that have been created. So I think, part of like maybe the fallen and some of the pagan religions they created, I think they created cremation and mummification and putting bodies in tombs to separate us from going actually back into the earth and
Hmm.
maybe connecting and growing back into that mycelium network. Just a thought I've had. It's just
Oh.
you think about the Akashic records and like stuff like that. Like if we're
Uh-huh.
not put back in there to rejoin that, it's losing out on all that experience and knowledge. And then your body's just rotting in a tomb or burned up, and then it's just dust, and it's not
Huh.
it's not regrowing back into that natural cycle.
That's fascinating when you say there,
It's weird,
because it
huh?
makes total sense also.
Right?
And I think that we as a species, as fellow humans, we are
Yeah.
built up about a lot. We were built out of a lot of fungi also, and the
Yeah.
most diseases that we know, just like cancer and stuff like that, is like a fungi that's out of control, and it's feed itself with sugar and stuff like that. But it's really fascinating when you look at it. And especially what you just said, uh, that goes in my head now around.
So you think like maybe some of those knowledge from the trees is that someone was buried there or died there and then grew into the tree, or the tree grew out of them, and so it carried some of that knowledge into it.
Huh. And that makes more sense, because when I walk in nature, I make a lot of pictures, especially about mushrooms, because I love it, and all the greenery and stuff like that. But I also do uh, make pictures of trees that look like a face,
Yeah.
and there are really a lot. And sometimes it could be a branch that's been felled off or cut off,
Yeah.
of course, but some of them just like, wow, you see this old Merlin kind of guy in it, just like, what? And it's like hundreds of years old. That's so, that's so cool. That's
And
so cool.
that's a sad thing about America is they've cut down so many of the old trees.
Mm.
There's a few, I know there's a couple, there's a huge one in think in Arizona or New Mexico, and there's a few down in Florida, and then some up in the redwoods in California and up in Oregon and stuff. But a lot of the old ones they've chopped them down, and it's really sad.
Yes.
I think you lose. I think that's a loss of an energy source.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to be honest with you, if I walk in the woods, I like to pick some sticks, so I can carve them and walk with them. And even then, when I only take one stick, and it's like maybe millions around. The forests are here not that dense, but you know that there's a lot.
Yeah,
I even feel sorry. So, and the thing is, what people don't realize, especially the ones that, you know, the project managers and stuff like that, oh, cut it all down, like thousands of years of what is it, foresting and stuff like that. You
yeah.
can't, if you mess it up, you can bring it back.
No.
It's something that it's really painful to see for me. It's making my heart bleed to see
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I used to bicycle to a town nearby. It's like 15 kilometers. Back in the days when I went to school, there was nothing. So there was one, um, the last building from the village that was a farm, and then it was like 10, 15 kilometers wasteland, and then I went to the other town, right?
Yeah.
Now it's completely stacked with FedEx, UPS, warehousing is like 800 meters by 700 meters, and just like, oh man. Okay, I like it when my Amazon package is delivered, but shouldn't we respect more the nature that's been there?
Can't you have the building and some trees too?
Exactly. Yeah, they plant the new ones, but it's, you know, it's
Yeah.
not like it was.
Yeah.
And of course, when there's a place, because it was quite a wasteland, that's okay. But if you see, especially in cities, how many projects there are that gonna cut down hundreds of years of foresting and habitats for the flora and fauna, right? For
Yeah.
the for, it's yes, and it's really is it something that you can relate to, Eric? That since you have been taking mushrooms in the past, that um, it gave you like um, some kind of answer to the existence of life,
Oh yeah.
uh, and now you're more aware of these things when you see something like that, something like, okay, wait a minute, that there was a teacher that told me all about this fascinating stuff here in the world, and now they just cut it down for some material stuff. That's hard, man.
Yeah. Like think about the Amazon. You know, they're clearing so much of it for agriculture and stuff when they really don't need to because there's so much open land down there for agriculture. And the studies have shown that the Amazon was actually planted, that it's an
Mm,
overgrown garden, that certain trees and plants were planted in specific spots that grow together and coexist. And it's like, it's crazy how when you look into that, the cities and ruins they found in there now, and just them showing that, hey, this wasn't just a natural forest that popped up. They
mm,
knew this was terraformed. You know,
yeah,
it's very interesting.
very, because I think the last couple of years they have now the technology to radar to fly over it and radar the ground.
Yeah.
And I think they found there was a description of someone like 100 years ago, like a guy that wrote down there's a city like 2 million people and stuff like that, you know. And 50 years later, they searched for that with the coordinates and stuff like that, but he couldn't find it. It
Yeah, it was
was
gone.
just,
I saw that film. It was a good one.
yeah. And I saw that what you talked about with it was, I think it was David Attenborough about Earth, what used to be the Amazon, the Panatal, like 50 years ago, and now it's like that's crime.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the biggest crimes against us, that they take away uh, our completely existence, because it's not like, okay, I cut down a tree, or you know, there are some animals that have to travel farther away, but they, even they don't have the chance to do that because they're going to get killed. I saw one of these movie from it was in the Amazon actually, and they found this orang utang, and this orang utang attacked the machines, just like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you cutting the stuff down? I think that they captured him or they killed him. Just like, what? Come on, man. What would you do if somebody moved into your house and said, okay, well, we're going to move all the stuff? And it's really crazy that we are now to a point in history that there's no turning back. And that's something that sometimes frightens me, to be honest. Not like the other stuff around, like pandemic and stuff like that. I don't really care. I'm quite a positive, positive guy. But these things that when you walk down in the forest and you see that they cut the half of it, just like yeah, then the other little trees can grow. Yeah, but doesn't the forest grow by itself? Even they trees, I think they can communicate with each other. So when one tree is a little bit sick, the other ones give them the energy.
Right.
Isn't that fascinating? And it comes back to the mycelium. So basically, you're killing consciousness of the world.
Yes. And I think it can come back. I'm positive that way. It's just, it takes time. Trees aren't like a tomato plant that you can grow in one season. It
No.
takes years. You plant a fruit tree seed, it takes years before it can produce. And that's, if it does, so much of the soil now, from the fertilizer they've done and chemtrails and all
Oh
these
yeah.
weed killer sprays, these roundups, and it's really messed up the ecosystem.
Hmm.
We've made the ecosystem sick. Like, it's very frustrating. It's like, what are we doing? How did this get approved and into action without us, being able to acknowledge it or have a say in stopping it?
Exactly. I think that's the worst part out of it. That someone has a plan and something has to get away to fulfill his plan. That's one. But who said, okay, yeah, chop down all that stuff, and it's just like thousands of years old. So what the hell? It makes no sense. It makes no sense, and I think that's probably also on their agenda. So when they take away the normal nature habitat, you can fight forest fruit.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Or if the shit hits the fan, you go to a forest and you can do your stuff. Well, um, it probably they hang it around full with cameras so they can see who's gonna get in and who's gonna get out. What you see with the pandemic or whatever we're gonna call it is,
Pandemic.
yeah, yeah. um, is that oh, is that the path that you normally could walk, they were just like within 2 or 3 weeks they were overgrown. Nature does that. I love that. Yeah, talking about that subject where we pandemic or feardemic, what's it called? What was your journey to awakening?
So I started young. I had a relative that was in the Secret Service when Kennedy was assassinated.
Hmm.
And so I was taught to question that at a young age. So that really got me into it, and that's where the term conspiracy theorist was invented. And I heard someone the other day call themselves not a conspiracy theorist, but a conspiracy analyst. And I really like that. So I'm a conspiracy analyst. I like to analyze these things. And
Exactly.
so I got a lot of videos right after 9/11 in the early 2000s. I had a friend of a friend that would make all these videos about 9/11, about Obama, about the zeitgeist, about all these crazy conspiracies when they're really blowing up in that time. And so I just got into watching a lot of those and then looking them up for myself. And then you hear about all the World War stuff that doesn't make any sense. World War One, every leader in charge is related. They're all cousins fighting for power and control to control their people better. And to increase their power. And then you hear about World War II, and the whole, none of it makes sense now when you really study it. And it was really to institute a banking system and really erase the rest of the old world stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, Shout out to Hibbler. I can't wait to see his new film, The Old World Order. That looks so good.
Oh yeah.
And so then, when 9/11 happened, I remember watching it that day, and it was just like, what the heck? And then I was fearful because I was 21. So I thought that I was going to get drafted, and we thought it was going to turn into a really big thing. And then, like I said, we had the Olympics here in 2002. So I
Hmm.
thought something was going to go down here during the Olympics. I thought, they spread that terrorism fear on everybody. So I thought, oh, they're going to blow up something at the Olympics to get some, to make another message.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
of
exactly. Huh.
course, nothing happened. It was all, and now we know that it was all planned and trauma-based mind control to get more money to keep the wars going. And then when the scandemic happened, I really didn't buy into it. I hadn't researched the farm. I knew the pharmaceutical company was corrupt and a lot of it wasn't right, but I didn't know how corrupt it was, and I didn't know how bad the shots were and stuff. And
Hmm.
I didn't know about the 1986 Vaccine Act that America had passed for children and the schedule. And they passed that because the pharmaceutical companies were about to give up on them because they had other medications that worked better and the injections weren't. And so they were like, well, we don't need, and then they passed that to make basically have no liability. Now they're not responsible for side effects and reactions.
Hmm.
And so when I learned all that and just saw how divisive it was and how fearful the trauma-based mind control, it just worked on everybody. And it was, that just really, it just shifted my conspiracy analyst gear to a whole nother level. And I wasn't too affected. I never took one. I've never taken one test. I didn't play the game at all. I worked at a grocery store, so I got to keep my job. Had to play the mask game a little bit, but luckily I was there in the early hours before the store opened, so I could get away with not wearing it most of the time. And then I switched jobs. Uh, let's see, in 2021, and I was about to go to work for Amazon, which I'm glad I didn't. It
Hmm.
wasn't actually directly for Amazon. It was a subcontracted company that controlled a fleet of drivers.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's how I got my job now, which was very fortunate. It was, a little bit more money too as well. And I didn't have to play the Amazon game. So I go into the Amazon place, the big hub where we would be meeting in the morning with the vans to get loaded up to do the deliveries. They have a camera system in there with rings around you. So I'm looking at the screen as I'm walking by, and I've got a green ring around me. And as I took a step closer to the guy, it turned red because we were too close to each other. We were within
No.
the 6 feet. Yes. It was crazy. I'm like, what is that? He's like, oh, that's the six
China
foot.
or Russia.
He's like,
China software.
yeah, he's like, that's the 6 foot distancing on the software notifying that we're too close together. And I'm like, what? Yeah. And that was like a big red flag. I was like, no, I don't know about this. They're gonna try
Yeah.
and,
Get the hell out of there.
yeah, what are they gonna force on me?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it
It's
was insane.
it's something. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it was just crazy. Yeah, it was, yeah, it
I
was,
worked like, I think it was like 20 years ago or something like that for a big there are a lot of transport hubs here. So we are cross border with Germany and with Belgium. It's quite
yeah,
nearby. So it's these three countries, the Netherlands, Germany, and Belgium. And I was working for this printer warehousing. So you have to, put in some paper just to test if it's okay, then go back in a box and it's going to send out. And my first day was like, you had to clock. That was something totally new for me at that time, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Everything was, you come to your job, you do your job, that's what you do, right? No,
yeah,
no, no, we had to clock in. And then when it went home, I couldn't get home because it's like 15 minutes that you have to wait that security is going to check everybody if they don't steal anything. It's like, am I in prison?
Right.
Big fences with dogs patrolling, cameras everywhere. Just like I don't want to work in that kind of environment, man.
That was for
That's
that was for paper?
that was yeah. What they did is they were warehousing, and they had like uh, printer stuff, and well, they have basically like I think like 10 or 15 brands that
Right.
provided their products to the hub, and you check them out. Like these were Lexmark printers, I think, and they have like hundreds of them, like batches that's going to be in stores. You have to check them out with paper if they, and you have to make a test and then see if everything is okay. Put it back in a box, and stuff like that. But
So they were probably
nowadays it's not. It's more worse than it was.
worried about you stealing like toner or components maybe, but that's just
Yeah.
weird for that. Like I was a delivery driver for 3 years, and I actually delivered to the company I work for now. It was
Okay.
a it was a corrugated products company, so we delivered packaging and shipping stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a few places I went to that were high security like that, but for a reason. Like one of them was Discover Card, where they would make the credit cards. So
Okay.
all the materials to make the credit cards and the strips and all the valuable stuff was in there. So I could see why they were so secure.
Exactly.
Another place was Brinks, which is an armored company, kind of like what Raul works for, where we would deliver them so that they have all the armed guards there and stuff. So I see why that's secure.
Mhm.
Another one was a refinery, a silver refinery, where they're taking all the ore in and making it into whatever silver ore and pure metals and stuff. And so I could see why that place,
Mm.
what you're talking about, this whole locked door when you come in and out, checking everybody like through a one of the things you walk through at the airport,
Oh
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
scanners and
The,
the X-ray, and yeah.
X-ray the
So
detector and stuff like that.
I can see that because
Mm.
someone might
Makes
steal a
sense.
chunk of silver or gold and walk out of there, yeah. But yeah, that's weird for a printer company place. That seems a little excessive.
Yeah. And if you see it right now, I'm in the middle of Tri-State City.
So
So
where is that? I've been to Amsterdam twice, but I've
yeah.
never been.
So if you got the Netherlands, it's like I think it's like 375 kilometers, so like 300 miles wide,
Right.
and the length is like 400, I think, like 200 miles. No, 300 miles. 300 by 300
Right. Is it
to
like
make it easier. Yeah,
northeast of Holland?
yeah. I'm down in the northeast, right?
Okay,
So Amsterdam is like 2 hours drive.
nice.
Yeah. So I'm down in the south, and it's connected to Germany and to Belgium. So when I look cross border, it's like 5 minutes drive. You
Right.
got Ruhrpott, and that's where Kruppstahl, so the metal works and stuff like that, like the early days when in war and stuff like that, they were
Mhm.
there. It's one of the biggest industrial areas in Europe. So
Wow.
with that said, I think there are like, if I draw a circle from my home, like let's say 30 kilometers,
Yeah,
I have about 20 million people.
that's awesome.
That's It's awesome when these
It's
people
awesome,
are
but at the same time not, because it's so many people in a small area.
exactly. So when I leave the house, everything is controlled, especially when I go to this where the hubs are now in the warehousing, and I do deliveries also. So uh, once you get in, everything cameraman, everything is lined up with cameras. Where are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing? Um, and that's one of the reasons why I want to make myself more independent and get the hell out of here, because these 50-minute cities, it's not something that they want to do. It's what they gonna do.
Right.
And especially when they lined up here, and if you see how dense it is here, just like I said, 2 hours drive to Amsterdam, and Amsterdam has a very big area like Rotterdam and The Hague is all packed up, and there are just like 10 million people like there, and it's not that big, you know. It's one of the dense cities there is, and it's multicultural, which is probably good, but with that comes also a lot of challenges. Let me say that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the exact size of my state of Utah, but that's like 10 times the people. We only have 3.38 million people in Utah. And in Salt Lake it's probably 2 million. You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
I was talking to Alex Pauls, and he said, you know, from a mental, and he said, man, you got to come over here to Canada. And he said when his family lives cross border here in Germany, he said when they come over, they are really astonished that they can drive a whole day without seeing anyone.
Right.
And for me, that's like, holy crap. Um, if you think about it, because everywhere I always were or was, there are
Yeah.
people. So when you're driving down in Canada where he lives, and you see nothing, no human being, you're completely on yourself. You have to have a reliable car, and nothing should happen, right? And there are a lot of factors that could mess up your day badly.
That same here. You can, as soon as you can drive an hour or a couple hours in one direction and you'll be in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So you can go one way and be up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere in the forest, or you can go another way and be out in the middle of the desert in nowhere. You know, it's Utah's a crazy place. You could uh let's see, yesterday was nice enough, or the day before was, this week we had some warm days, but you could have snow skied in the morning if you wanted to, and then in the afternoon went and played golf.
Wow.
And then last night we had a little snow. Last night we had a little snow, so there's like a little dusting all over my yard today.
Mm. The funny thing is, when we talked about all the stuff that's going on with the chemtrails, and that what they spray and stuff like that, it's not only that. We had like crazy rainfall, like 2 3 weeks almost constantly, and still there are some creeks that are flooded over. But guess what? Netherlands is very familiar with their dikes,
Yeah.
and I don't talk by the whip.
Yeah.
And probably they're familiar about that too, because
Right.
we yeah, exactly. So, but without dikes, we would have a big problem, and probably I wouldn't get wet feet, but most of the Netherlands, I think, like three-quarters, something like that, could have really severe problems when the dikes break.
A
And it
lot
was
of
in
that area,
1952. There was a big disaster.
big flood.
Yeah,
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 because a lot of that area, right, the dikes make it so there's dry land, right? Because a lot of it is like sea level and below, kind of, huh?
yeah. And I think it's just NAP is the level that they show on rivers and stuff like that. It's New Amsterdam Pel level, New
Yeah.
Amsterdam level, right? So they see when you go with the ship, you go to another place like under a bridge, you can see how high the water is. So you have to count how big your ship is if you can pass through. And when there's more water, the level's going to get up. So you have to be very careful if you have some really big ship. But yeah, we are very good in making dikes. And also there was a part of the Netherlands where was big cities now that was water. So what you see, and I think it's also a Dutch company that made these palm trees in what was it,
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi? Yeah, yeah. So what they did is they grind it. They grind it so that they had the water, and then they yeah, they put the water to somewhere else and they make it dry. So Flevoland, that's a province here, is
Okay,
completely, that was water like 50 years ago.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really good. Look, these are good things that to develop, right? But
Yeah,
if you cut down all that stuff that we talked about before, like trees and forests and stuff like that, that's something that really fets me up. And I don't know what the plan is exactly, as you said with 9/11. When you see that, and when you see the deceiving, and that's not possible that it could collapse and stuff like that, I have two questions. First of all, we got some actors on stage because somebody wrote the script. Who wrote the script? Because that if it's going to be Biden or Trump or whatever, I don't talk about politics, but whoever, you know, play the game, they play by the script.
yeah.
Who made the script?
We don't know who they are. With the I go back to like what George says. If you know the names, they're not the biggest players. You know,
No.
the people we know are, like you said, are the actors. You know, the crappy actors, the ones that can make you feel that make you feel emotions, they go to the movies. The good actors, they get to go to politics, and that
Yeah,
because they can just straight lie to your face and make you believe and tell you everything you want to hear and do the complete opposite, and no
exactly.
one does anything about it. It's
That's
just they just
crazy, man. When you
it's
think about it, if you have a girlfriend or you have a friend that's lying, backstabbing, and stuff like that, you okay, even if it's a family member, get the hell out of here. Don't want to do anything with I don't want to have to you know
yeah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, how many strikes till you're out? Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
crazy. Like, to go back to the terraforming for a minute, they sell this. We have all this natural, everything's created perfect ecosystem, and we have
Mm-hmm.
all these plants and medicines. And this kind of goes into the religious too. I think at one time, the true spirituality, the religion and the science was all together in one. They
Mm-hmm.
separated it. God made man, man made religion. The fallen came down, made these false religions for us to worship the wrong gods and split that. So now you have this religion that's incorrect that people are worshiping. And now you've taken the natural medicine of the earth, the natural good intention alchemy. There's good and light and dark
Mm-hmm.
witchcraft. If you're taking ginger and garlic and honey and making a tea to heal somebody of a cold or something they have with intention and honoring God because he gave you all these plants and herbs and medicines to do this with, that's good. But when
Yeah,
you're doing like some voodoo, sacrificing some animals and spilling blood and doing this, the dark magic, obviously that's for the wrong intentions and evil. But by separating this and killing that knowledge of the original science and wisdom of that went along with the spirituality, now you can create this scientism and make another branch of division to get people away from the natural, you know what I mean? So we're
oh
gonna
yeah,
start, we're gonna start selling you this petroleum based fertilizer that, yeah, it's gonna boom up your crops for a few years like crazy, but it's gonna kill your soil over time, and then you're gonna be really screwed because
exactly.
we're going to change the way of farming where you have a few different animals and a few different plants that all work together to now you're just growing one thing in one spot that's not cohesive with the ecosystem. So we've sprayed all these weeds, which aren't weeds, they're actually the herbs and medicines we
Medicine, yeah.
need because they've made synthetic options that they can patent and then sell for money, make the money off the patent. So I don't know if you listen to permaculture with Billy Bonds.
I
He
have,
has
yeah, listen to some, yeah.
his one yesterday talking about this grass that they brought in. I think it was Chinese silk grass or something, and they brought it in to like line the highways and like fill in just areas, and how nothing eats it. And he was trying to find a way to like break it down and either get rid of it or try to use it for compost or something beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that around, like, yeah, it's that's part of that frustration that makes you mad, like how they've were a terraform in a negative way, like you guys building the dikes and making some more land and bringing in more areas to terraform that way, positive way. But when you're doing it, bringing in these foreign plants that kill the natural plants, then you're spraying the stuff to kill the beneficial weeds, and then that's what really gets you going. Like, ugh.
That's yeah, and it's really good that you see these two, like science and let's say belief in an easy way,
Yeah,
believe in science. Because I was talking to Snake a while ago, and I said, what if science is there when you do not believe in a religion,
yeah,
and religion is there if you do not believe in science? But when you do not have those two, you're out in the middle of life, baby. You
yep,
have no indoctrination going on. You have nothing that says you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. There's nothing that gives you orders. There's nothing, that's free life. So I think it's very fascinating that you mentioned it, because we're, I think, on the same level, because it's both deceiving from that what is. And we talked about it now of the whole podcast. Nature, for me, when I look outside, that's creation. That's always that, the law of physics, the circle of life. Everything is there. You can see the footprint, or the blueprint that God made in basically the Garden of Eden.
yes.
And I saw on a notes that you have also some uh, you think that it could be probably that the Garden of Eden was in California, right?
No, Florida.
Yeah. Oh,
Florida
Florida. Yeah.
on the East Coast, the Southeast. So I've Dr. Narco Longo, shout out to him. He has a really good channel, and there's been some other videos. Uh there was a scientist, I think it was like in the 50s or 60s, that was going over this. And you look at the river systems, and then how it mentions a fertile crescent, and then you look at the mountains and stuff that are mentioned in the Bible, it just kind of coordinates more with this than it does over there. Now, true, there was a giant flood, and that's not just biblical. Every ancient culture, from the Egyptians, Sumerians, Babylonians, Native Americans, South America, every ancient culture talks about a flood and
Mm.
different destructions of the earth. Hindus, Shiva, the destroyers, destroyed it how many times they say. And so the face of it could have been changed and manipulated over there through those, but they deceive us and lie about everything. So why would they not trying to trick people to fighting over an area that's not the actual place,
Exactly.
while keeping the actual place kind of pristine and hidden, and keep it to themselves?
Exactly.
The
And
river
shout
system.
out to Raul from the Firmamental, who told me about this guy. And he said, man, when I have a day off, I look at all the videos of this guy because it makes so much sense. And especially because there were some trees that are described in the Garden of Eden that they were there. There's nowhere in the world these trees popping up except there, right?
27 of 28 of them, I believe.
Wow.
And then the supposed tree that the ark was made out of. And so there's multiple stories of the ark. You have Noah in one story, you have Gilgamesh in another, which it
Mhm.
could just be a same story, different translation, different interpretations, uh it's really it's super interesting. And then when you see what's in the Gulf of Mexico there, in that fertile crescent that they speak of, what's under the water, there's more pyramids and stuff. It's just very
Oh,
super interesting. I mean, that could be, there's multiple things of where Atlantis could be. That could be where Atlantis was.
mm.
And you know and it could be like the guy from Bright Insight, his is really good too, where he thinks the Eye of the Sahara could be too, just because of the circles there. It lines up. That's very interesting too.
And they find ships in the middle of the Sahara.
Exactly.
And of course, it is like history is very hard to comprehend when you know that somebody's been written that down. So if you have a match and we have two opponents, we do 12 rounds, 11 and a half round, you are better than me. But I have one lucky strike. I go as the winner of that boxing match, no matter what.
Yep.
And that's something that's it's really fascinating too. How could they, if you have a secret for yourself, that's one. When you have it with two people, it's going to be a. But this organization or these people that know and they plan the script, they are aware of that. And do you think that we're now in a time that these let's say these castles that they built for themselves are made of sand and that they tumbling down a little bit now?
Yeah, I think I feel a shift. I feel like more people are waking up and it just, are opening their eyes, however you want to term it. Uh, and I think, when they played their hand so hard on the scamdemic, that pushed a lot of people, they tried to censor the internet and do a lot prior to that. But when you trapped people in their homes and took away people's jobs and they had nothing better to do, they always want to say, oh, it's some loser 20-year-old, 30-year-old that lives in his grandma's basement that's these conspiracy theorists looking up. Well, no, there's a lot of 50 plus year old retired military people now, like George, that, you know, and, George works a lot. He does a lot, but there's a lot of guys his age and older that have nothing to do. So
Mm,
all they're doing is looking into this stuff. And there are
exactly.
people that other, I don't have any accreditation. I'm just some dude. My what I'll be remembered for in life is being a awesome husband and an amazing father. And that's
Did this
fine. That's fine with me. I don't need to be anything more. I
mm,
don't need to be remembered other than by my children. And but you have people now that are accredited and are people that other people would say that their word holds weight, that they, are somebody of stature
mhm.
that are coming out saying this. I mean, you look at all these doctors talking about the scamdemic. You look at all the architects talking about 9/11. You're looking at all these former scientists and physicists talking about how heliocentrism doesn't work. That,
Exactly.
there's a shift happening, and that's what makes them scared. That's why they're really gonna, I think, ramp it up this year, whether it's disease X or World War III. They know that they've tried a few things over the last few years that would have gotten the American people to want to go to war, and it isn't working at all. So
No.
they're really racking their brains on what we got to do to push this forward. And so it's an awesome time to be alive. I know we're all here for a reason. We're all high level players that can handle this and to make this difference. And it's just exciting to see what's going to happen. It's
Mm,
just there is that anxiety when you have a family of trying to make it through, but I don't walk in fear. I walk with the armor of God and in faith, and I know that my children will see what I've done and trying to do, and they'll remember the teachings I've been giving them, and they'll be just fine. They're gonna,
mm, yeah.
it does. I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about what would happen to me for standing up, resisting, and speaking out. I'm worried what will happen to them if we don't.
Wow. Great point. Great point. Because the things that we do now is not for ourselves. It's for us as a species, as the humans that are with love and peace, and know that there are other ways to deal with some stuff. If it's going to be like free energy or medicine, just like, okay, what did they do? They went to the Indians in the Amazon and said, what does this plant do? Oh, we can make Vika told me about that, like the one that I had last week from Flatten the Curve.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get
Um,
to listen to that one yet, but I will for sure.
oh, that's I don't say it by myself, but it's a great episode because Vika is also digging into a lot of that stuff, and it's very good to see that even in this movement and this in this community, let's say, that there are a lot of people more awake than, oh 9/11 is fake. No, they're more into alternative medicine. They are more into, you know what, if I'm a little bit stressed today, I'm going to walk down barefoot just like half an hour in my garden, and then everything will be all right. They meditate, they think about their health, they are love and carrying people, and that's what we need to build something that everyone can rely on, because we know now 100% sure that everything that they created is to, you have to be independent from them, dependent on them. And they don't want it if you are like independent and grow your own stuff and stuff like that. That's why they make it probably very hard to do that. But I think that more people want to step out, and eventually, if you go to a country where there's a so-called war, ask the
Yeah.
people. They don't want war. No, the guys in charge, they want war because they have money involved and status and stuff like that. So they can rewrite history and tell them, oh, we were the good and we wrote it wrong. It's a strange world, but it's somehow that's one of the things I still have from Q. I followed that once and don't anymore. But it's a shit show. Take your popcorn, have something to drink, and just watch what happens. It's really strange. And the
I
funny
mean, that's,
thing, sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
okay.
The funny thing is, as I told you before, that it was really raining here quite some time. I also remembered that Q or whoever that was said from watch the water. Just like, oh, holy shit, it's coming up, man. If you got a cellar here, you need a pump to dry it up. That's so watch the water. What do you mean?
And then the controllers will blame that on climate change when really they're the ones manipulating the weather to give you the extra rain. But you look at, you know, to go to the biblical cosmology, the flat earth stuff, oh, we're moving all these speeds, we're spinning 1,000, road orbiting the sun at 66,000. The sun, we're chasing it through space at a 500,000. The whole universe is moving 1,000,000 or whatever. Yet the stars haven't changed. Nothing has changed.
Oops.
So like I really enjoyed a few of Graham Hancock's books, but he wants to prove everything's a meteor from space, and he's so into
Mm,
the space, and he has his app that he watches the stars and stuff on, and it's like, yeah, you think that you keep proving things older and older, and his thing, oh, it keeps getting older. Well, that
mhm.
just proves that it's not a globe because everything's still lined up. You think that Göbekli Tepe is so old. Well, it's still lined up to what they lined it up to at that time. The stars still
Exactly.
align. So how could that be if all that action's happening in space and everything's moving? And then Hibbler brought up a good point the other day. Uh, when you zoom in on a star, how it can get bigger and you see it better. If it was really 1,000,000 light years away, it wouldn't change. You couldn't, it's not like when you zoom in on an airplane and you can see the airplane almost as if it's right in front of you. If the star
Exactly.
was that, we know the airplane's only a mile away or so many 100 feet in the air away,
Yeah.
but the star is supposed to be billions and trillions of miles away. Like, it shouldn't expand like that. It should still be the same little dot. So that's another proof that it's not that far away. And then, when you see them like shimmering like the waters above from the waters below.
Mm.
Shout out to Permaculture Pimpcast again. Billy was talking on his latest episode. They were really into grounding and stuff, and I've been grounding a lot. And he made a point of what happens in your house when the power goes out. Isn't there an instant like, ah, like like an instant pressure release.
I can
Like
tell you that.
like
I
a
can
soul calming just comes over because it's all off and silent and it's all gone. Like,
I can tell you a little bit about that. I was living, first of all, in houses, of course. Then I came to this village where I live now, and I went. I had an apartment above a bar, so there's always something beeping, buzzing, whatever, from the refrigerator and stuff like that. There's always something going on. I moved and I purchased myself a chalet, like trailer, right?
uh-huh.
So when I walk down here, there's only nature surrounded. Well, define nature, but there's nature around, and everything that I have to do is I can click everything out. So when I go to sleep, the lights here is just like one click, and everything is just totally gone. There's
Like
no
power box on your power box, you can just kill it.
exactly. Man, that changed me so much. And now comes the funny part. I was delivering my last package, and I was talking to the woman, and she had a girlfriend, and she is in a big city, and she has this high tense hearing stuff. So she had like earplugs on because of the sounds, and she's in a city where every single second there is something in the air that causes noise, and normally she can't hang around with people, which is really, of course, really bad.
Yeah.
But she went here to the place where I live, well, in the neighborhood, 3 days, and they said to her, "Don't you have any problems with your hearings now?" She said, "Man, the moment I go outside, I only hear nature voices like birds and stuff like that."
Natural sounds
That's
instead of city bullshit.
exactly. And how many people, that's a disease too, that they put us out with all these frequencies on and of course I use them too, because it's technical stuff that has its benefits, but we have to be very careful, especially we are a little bit awake about, this is not the end game. The end game would be if everybody was living off the land, have a little bit of cattle, and just be peaceful and honest with each other, grab a guitar at night, and still great stories to your kids, and look at nature with and breathe fresh air. That's what we want.
Yep.
So that again brings us to the question: who's writing this script? Because he's fired.
Yeah. It's it's some fallen Nephilim angel demon that just, they want us worshiping their creations instead of being at one with God's creation and worshiping the creator. They
Mm-hmm.
want us, like you said, dependent on them, not being able to do anything on our own. And that's what happens with the heliocentric model. You're just a lost in space speck of dust space monkey, and nothing matters. There's no,
Exactly.
like, I'm not a religious person, but like I do believe in Christ, and I think the mission that was given to Adam and Eve to procreate, to take care of this creation because it's for us, and
Mm-hmm.
like simplest rules of the 10 commandments, that's all you need. I mean, you don't, it's man that's gone through and corrupted it, and by influences, dark influences that have made all this crap, like, you know, no disrespect for different religious people's things, but there's so many of these things were not actually given by the creator. They were just man-made things that some guy wanted credit for, to like, oh, I'm doing extra credit for God or whatever. I'm like the creation of Lent is to signature the 40 days and 40 nights that Jesus went through the desert tempted by the devil. So we're
Mm-hmm.
going to do a similar thing. And I get that, to honor Jesus and that, but it's like, that's not something you have to do. That wasn't an instruction. That wasn't part of the plan. That was something a man made up later to try and put his mark on it and to help control other people to get them to do what he wanted them to do.
Exactly.
Saying it was a higher, power.
Yeah, and I have a big problem is that doesn't describe the things how I feel, but when something has been written by several authors over more than 1500 years, I have a problem with that,
Right.
because you can be reliable on yourself if you're a good author and you write a book. Let's say if you were 25 people, and what really fascinates, or what wonders me, I feel more, and probably you will guess it, but I feel more, and now comes the word pagan. But the funny thing is, I'm Rob. I'm not pagan, but Christianity made up the word like heathen or pagan for people that don't believe in God. Okay, fine. But I'm just, doing the things that I do. I don't kill, I don't rape, I don't steal. So that's three basic things for me. Don't harm other people and don't harm yourself. Well, that's pretty good religion, isn't it? I don't have anyone that tells me you should do this or you should do that. Um, so that's really fascinating, and it goes back like Mesopotamia, where these people, nowadays they call it pagan, but they don't know what they worship, because they had something like, okay, there's not a God tells me what I have to do. I ask a God, like fertility or for making stuff when I need it, and when the message is fulfilled, or when the ask has been the question has been asked, yeah, something like that. I hope you know what I mean. Then you build an altar for that. That's a different kind of way, but that doesn't mean that you have to write that down, because I think that's intrinsic with us, everyone, that you just want to walk down the street without any looking around and stuff like that, that talks are hung in your street, or that people cause you trouble and stuff like that. Nobody wants that, you know
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. So I believe they called the followers of Christ heathens at one point. And the pagan one wasn't that they didn't believe in God, was that they believed in many gods and false gods and created altars and idols, which you weren't supposed to do. I was that for a long time, and that resonated with me for a while until I connected the dots with the fallen, how a third of them fell down, and it just made sense. And like I said, how every culture has that flood story, and when you
Mhm.
see the gods of Mesopotamia, Babylon, Egypt, uh, India, South
China, India,
America,
right?
China, all
Yeah.
these hybrid kind of monster gods, like, well, that's the Nephilim, like that. They came down here and corrupted us and tricked us into these false warships. And that makes sense why all their stuff is in ruins now. And
Hmm.
their religions and spirituality are crumbs compared to what they were at one time.
Hmm.
And you look at all their beautiful structures that were made and stuff that were supposedly in times of savages, and like even over here horse and buggy people, and these primitive people with no tools and no knowledge, and the pyramids were built by slaves. Well, who gave these slaves this architectural class and knowledge to be able to build something that perfect that they can't build today? Like, it makes no
Exactly.
sense. It makes no sense at all. Like, you
That's a
know,
good one.
yeah, you see these structures in India and Malaysia and stuff that are almost like just straight carved out of the rock, like with a laser
Yeah,
engraver.
yeah, yeah.
And they're,
Angkor Wat and stuff like that. Just
yeah,
like,
some of
wow.
those Buddhist and Hindu temples and stuff. There's no way. But I mean, that's the whole thing of this heliocentric model, like how they teach it here. Oh, Columbus came over here to prove that the earth wasn't flat and you wouldn't sail off the edge. And you don't want to be dumb like those ancient people that thought that, because you're a newer, better, smarter person. even though you can't do half the things those ancient people could do, you know?
And Leif Erikson was the one who
And
discovered America.
I
Sorry, Columbus.
my family is related to them. We were Ericsons before
Yeah,
Finnish. The
the
Erikson clan got
Vikings.
so big that they broke off and made a new branch, Finnish. And
Ha,
so yeah, when I traced my genealogy back, it went to Erikson. And we have a huge genealogy
wow.
library here in Salt Lake. The Mormons do. It's a huge one and it's free and you can go in there. But at the same time, it's hard to trust that because the Mormons created that and they're obsessed with that genealogy because they want to prove that they're one of the lost tribes of Israel and that they're connected to this. They're very Zionist. And
Hmm.
I'm not anti Semitic. Like, to me, these people that are claiming Jew, like the word Jew wasn't invented till the 1500s. You
Mhm.
know, these people aren't the Israel people of the Bible. They aren't the Semitic people. They speak a Semitic language and they claim all the victimhood of that, but they aren't those people. They're all from the Khazarian area, which is all Russia, Germany, Poland, Ukraine area.
Mhm.
And they've moved in and claimed this land that was given to them by the King of England. We know none of those British royalties were ever good people. They're not the ones today aren't even from, I mean, they were born in Britain, but their family line comes from Germany. They're not even true Britons. So
Hmm.
it's just all that false history. Like it's crazy. I can respect what everyone believes. I've just connected my own dots to, I can see it just makes sense. I was so into the ancient aliens, like, oh, they came down and but like so now, no, it wasn't an alien. It was a fallen angel that was jealous when we were created
Hmm.
and wanted to come down and experience and try to live the life we have, but they weren't able to live the exact same life. And then they got wiped out. And now they're these disembodied spirits trying to use the AI to steal our bodies or to, corrupt us enough to
Yeah,
become their slaves.
to
Have you
take
heard
over
about,
our identities.
yeah, have you heard Elon just put his first chip in somebody?
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah. Like,
How stupid can you be? I mean, and it's really that's the other thing, right? Um, when you were good at your job, like a while ago, you knew that there were brighter and better people coming up, and you have to be, job security and stuff like that. So what did we taught our children? Go something like technical. That's the new kind of market and stuff like that. But guess what? With one supercomputer, they just like people could line up like hundreds of smart people, and they're just like, okay, well, fine for you, but you're all fired because we can do the job in like 5 milliseconds. So you know, so
yeah,
and that's also a thing that's based on religion. First of all, we believed that this technology and stuff like that would benefit us as a human being. No, you don't have to go to work that much because technology is going to take over. Things are going to build easier and faster with that. But look now, you know, you're fired because robots. I think there's one or two warehouses here that are completely automated.
yeah,
But there's no one inside.
that's
So
crazy.
guess you know,
And what happens when there's a war and the power goes out? Like none of that stuff's gonna work. You know?
no. But I think that they don't care when that happens because we are so stupid.
Yeah,
We follow constantly the wrong leaders, the wrong images, the wrong. We fell for these belief systems all the time, and it doesn't matter if you're red, black, white, whatever. They put up the game and they do it every single time, and that's one of the things that really also intrigues me. That uh, like Christianity, or when you talk about the Bible is representative in so many sub religions.
yeah,
You don't see that like when you go to a Hindu, Hindu, that's it. That there's no one said, yeah, okay, I took a look at the book, take a look at the book, I read it, and I will do it on another way so you can go to my movement. That's no such thing. In China, the same thing. But when it comes to the Bible, there are so many sub religions. And then the question is, what's your plausible truth, and what's your plausible good feeling, your gut feeling tells you about that. But to be honest with you, if I hear belief, not only in a religious way, not only in a political way, belief is, whoa, that's something for everyone personal, and some people can be very easy manipulated in a wrong direction when it comes to belief. I mean, war's been fought on, we believe that this is that. We believe Iran has some mass destruction.
Weapons, yeah.
Nope. That's something that's really
Here, I have one for you on that. So what's the word in the middle of belief? Believe, lie.
lie.
You will, if you believe something, you don't know it. You will believe the lie. Now,
Wow.
what's the word in the middle of no? N-O, no. When you know something, you can say no to the lie.
Wow, Eric. Oh, I like that. But
Like that?
and but that's also one thing I checked it out. It was last week when I was on the phone with Snake. The English language isn't that old. It's like a few hundred years old, and it came from the Germans and the Dutch and the Anglo-Saxon. I think I pronounced it good. Languages. So also like your forefathers, like the Swedes and stuff like that. The funny thing is, it spells. I
Yeah,
told that on
spelling and
another
cursive.
podcast. Good morning. Morning is not good. Morning is when you go to a funeral, right?
Yes.
Good morning, mummy. What's a mummy?
Yeah.
It's a wrapped up, you know, buddy.
So
Good
so
morning.
yes. So
There.
I have a take on this. So I saw something. I don't know if it was Dr. Narco Longo, but one of the people studying the ancient stuff, I watched this one video, and it actually talks about, this is this false history again. And with the English, the 1984 George Orwell doublespeak. Church, me and you are having church right now. When two
Exactly.
of us are gathered, God is here, the creator is here. We're having church. Church now means a building.
Hmm.
Church over here, you say, oh, I'm at the church. We're going to the church. That's a building, not people getting together and discussing ideas, sharing ideas, and agreeing to disagree, coming to a conclusion,
Hmm.
building a bond. That's what it
Amen.
originally was supposed to be, was everyone sharing ideas and progressing. Now it's you go there and listen to some dictator give you his interpretation or misinterpretation. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
when you translate something, yes, I could learn Russian and then translate it, but everything I'm reading in Russian, I'm converting to English in my head. Someone that grew up as Russian, their first language, learns English, they're translating it to English, but everything in their head, they're converting it to Russian. So you're going to have a mistranslation and a miscommunication. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what's happened to the Bible. And the Bible was, I believe, it was infiltrated that way on purpose. That's why they wanted to make all these branches of division. So you had all these misinterpretations and mistranslations because you didn't have multiple people that spoke Hebrew first
Mm-hmm.
and then learned whatever language they're translating it to, and multiple people that spoke the language it was being translated into, that new Hebrew. That way they could all get together. So if you had like 5 people that grew up with Hebrew that now spoke Greek, and then 5 people that grew up with Greek that now speak Hebrew, now those 10 people can all coordinate together and make a proper translation.
Hmm.
Like Alex, said on Firmamental, one word you can say in Russia can mean a whole joke. Whereas you
Exactly.
take multiple English words to express that joke because you don't know that meaning of that word. So that's the thing. Like I said, I've always had that when it comes to religious books in the Bible and like these councils of Nicaea, where they invented the name Jesus Christ because his real name was Yeshua, where
Mhm.
they edited it down because, like I said, that's where they took out, I think, the explanation books and the science books, maybe that would, make it come together as one solid spirituality of where it's equals out. Like the Book of Enoch that was before the Bible that explains a lot of the stuff in the early Bible parts,
Mhm.
and the Apocrypha and the Book of Giants and how all that pertains to what's going on today. It's very interesting. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. It brought me, so flat Earth brought me 100% closer to the Bible. I would not say to God because I always believed in God without the Bible. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So for me, it made me know that there's a God instead of believing in a God.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Something. Okay, I always digged into the right direction.
Right. Yeah. I now I know for sure that there is a creator. Like it's not, and now I can say no to the lies of different religious beliefs.
Exactly. And but there are also some stories, and I was talking to Arian about it on my podcast. Um, that really makes no sense for me. And I would just like the Genesis Garden of Eden. Okay, Garden of Eden. So there's a snake hanging in a tree, telling someone. So this could be metaphorical and stuff like that, or on other or cryptic, how it's called, cryptic.
Cryptid, but
Um,
it wasn't a literal snake. He was just dubbed the serpent.
he was
That's what
just
he was just named the serpent. It wasn't a literal snake.
aha.
That's where the infiltration and the misinterpretation has come in. It
Exactly, because in the other podcast I was talking to Dario, and he has a friend who's working at the Vatican. He
Yeah.
speaks Hebrews, and he said when you see like one book of the Bible, it's like 5,000 words in Hebrew, but there have to be 80,000 or more in another language. So he said can't you can't translate it in a properly way because you have too, yeah, just like you said, what Alex said, you have too many words that not make sense for that one word that makes sense.
And I give you props because you do this in a second language.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
So I learned that as a child. When I was 12 years old was the first time I went over to Finland and Sweden and Denmark and visited our family and stuff. And that's when I realized how uneducated Americans are. I could barely speak English. Now, my 9-year old cousin, who was from like Norway and lived in Canada part time and stuff, he could speak 5 languages at 9 years old.
wow.
And I'm 12 and can barely speak one.
I
I
would,
was like, wow, we are stupid. We
one of
think
the
we are the king's cream of the crop and we are dumb.
but that means that the system does its job, right? So they want
Rockefeller
law-abiding
system.
citizen who don't ask questions, just do the things that you say. I say jump, you say how high. That's it. The I think that one of the well, it's a little bit bloody history because a lot of history is of course bloody. Um, we had in the 15 and 1600s, we had the VOC, like the ships that were going to India and stuff like that in Africa. So Dutch are a very small country based on cattle and agriculture and stuff like that, but also trading, right? So they went across the world. And when we see some films like we did in the old days, everything is like translated in Dutch. So we listen to the original language of an actor,
Yeah.
and you see the subtitles. Uh, Normally, when I look something like a TV show or something, I don't do that anymore. But like movie, I put all also the English subtitles on. But because we do that from very young age, we know very familiar with Germany. Well, a
Yes.
lot of people, especially when you cross border here, right? That makes sense. Um, and there were not that much programs. There were only 3 programs, and Germany had like 4 or 5, so you had more choice, and you had to dig into Germany. But yeah, Snake asked me, in what language do I think? And that's a really tough one because sometimes I think in my accent, in my dialect, let's say, and most of the time in English, which is really funny because I'm a Dutch guy. But
So
when I'm mad, it's going to be German.
language you speak in Netherlands is Dutch.
Dutch, yeah.
Okay. Is it similar to German? And
Mm,
is that what they speak in Holland as well? Or
no, there are people that speak German, but they're not that much. It's we are
is it like,
more related with the language to Sweden and Denmark,
okay.
because Finland is also completely different than Denmark or Sweden.
Yeah, me and Alex were talking about that. Finland is actually more like Hungarian.
Mhm. True. It's coming from more from Mongolia, Russia,
Yeah. Yeah.
Bulgaria, Ukraine, and then you got this piece of like Denmark, Sweden, part of Germany, and a part of the Netherlands, because it was a little bit divided. We have a province that's called Friesland. They have their own Friske language, but they speak that also in Germany on some parts, on a higher in the north of Germany. And the funny thing is, the dialect that I speak with in my native tongue, let's say that, I can speak that like 80 kilometers away in Aachen. Aachen is Germany, but when I speak my dialect, they can totally understand what I mean.
That's cool.
That it's really you have to say you know, Asterix and Obelix, these strip figures, of course, who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So we are part of the old Germans, not the Germans in the language, but the Germanic people. I think I pronounced that right. So yeah, we were just people from the land, and I think pagan. One of the translations is they are just like farmers. They
Yeah.
they don't believe in anything. You know, they go up when the sun rises and they go to bed when the sun goes down. You know, and they take care of the cattle and the land, and that's what
It
they're
was
doing.
probably a form of peasant,
Yeah, yeah,
pagan.
exactly.
It was probably, just
That's
so
why that.
I got sidetracked earlier when I was talking about the language. So the video I was talking about the Phoenicians, one of the oldest languages, the phonetic language, and how it actually is related to English. It's part of that false history where they say, oh, English is a new language. But really, when you look at it, how it is, how so many of the words have Latin bases, Germanic bases, it's from all over. Like
Huh.
I used to think, oh, it was some stupid king in England that didn't want to learn because they were probably educated back then, and most of the kings could speak German, Latin languages, French, Spanish, Italian, whatever, could speak, you know, Greek and different things. And then there was this one king that was just stupid and lazy, so he made up English to just kind of mix them all together, and then made that's why it was the King's English. But
Mm-hmm.
then the video I saw was very interesting. I'll have to try and find it, send it to you. But it was talking about the Phoenicians, and they were the ones that traveled all over the world and invented the first compasses and used the star maps and stuff. And
Exactly.
it was
Fascinating.
very intriguing about how and I think that the infiltrators and the people, they did the double speak on the language and they changed it. Because I think, you know, you you know, Australians that speak an older version of English, they don't say good morning, they say good day.
Good day. Yeah. Hi, good
Yeah.
day, mate. How you doing?
Hey, mate. They don't say good morning, they say good day. And that's the same as buenos dias, good day. Like, so
Exactly.
I
And it's
think,
all related.
yep,
And
I
it's
think,
really fascinating what you say, because I just something pops up in my mind. It's like um, there are a lot of words or a lot of things that when I cut myself, I say ow.
right?
right? So, well, maybe it's ouch for some people, but
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of words are exactly the same spoken over the whole world.
Right, a common sound.
Common sound, exactly. And then when you said like believe, there's a lie in it, and
Yes,
no, there's no,
free to say no to the lie.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what casting spells means. Like you have weekdays. No, I don't. I have strong days, baby, and I have strong ends.
Yep,
And
exactly.
it's so easy to fall for all that stuff, and it's so automatic blended in our society. And guess what? Our language is changing as we speak. Because what we see here now, for example, if you go to Amsterdam or Rotterdam, there's no Dutch people or people that speak Dutch. It's all
Wow.
English.
Wow.
Yeah, that really
Here's
shocked
here's
me.
here's one I looked up the other day when like etymology of words, the origin. You know, everyone right now they want everyone to be nice to each other.
Mhm.
They want everyone occupied with having fun. Well, the original etymology of nice means to not know. It means to be ignorant, to be stupid. That's what the original word nice means.
Wow.
Not know, to be ignorant, to be stupid. Now, the original etymology for fun, to make a fool or to be a fool, to cheat or to hoax. So they want everyone to be stupid fools in life instead of maybe hurting someone's feelings because you're actually, trying to spread the truth or teach somebody something. And that was another thing I noticed in my college educated friends. I dropped out. I was the only freshman in psychology 1500. I passed that class and I did some other ones and then I dropped out. So I do have two psychology credits to my name, but uh, in college it changed from everyone saying I think, because you could be rude to people like I don't care what you think, to now they all say I feel, because if you tell somebody I don't care what you feel, that's very rude. So now when you hear a college person speak on a subject like, well, I feel that it's this blah 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 blah,
Oh,
instead of the
really?
old days where I think, which meant you put some thought into it, now you're just going on a feeling that's not actually putting the thought, the critical thinking skills to it.
Huh.
That's just something I noticed on my own, uh, that changed probably over the last, I don't know, 15, 20-ish years. That all went from people saying I think because I'm thinking about it, I'm using my brain to put the thoughts, to the mental gymnastics on it, to
Hmm.
now I feel, because if you, like I said, if you say that you don't care how someone feels, then that's very disrespectful as to saying I don't care what you think.
Exactly. It brings us to the point that Rockefeller made a system. They
And
don't
it's
want
working.
thinkers, and
I
it's
want
just
work.
like they call me conspiracy, and I struggle with the words, but terrorist, right?
Yes.
Why is terrorist and therapist so close together? But okay, that's another story. Um, they oh, just lost my train of thought. Um,
The Rockefeller system. And
oh yeah, the Rockefeller system. So they want uh, people that don't think for themselves. They want only law-abiding workers.
yep.
But I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a critical thinker, first of all. And to tell me that I'm a conspiracy theorist is a conspiracy itself.
Yes. And that's the thing. We aren't the ones making up theories. We have ideas, and then we are searching truth to debunk their theories that they say are fact. The
Exactly,
theory,
which are probably
the theory
lies.
of gravity, it's the theory of heliocentrism, it's the theory of germs.
Mm,
It's not those aren't, proven. Like, and I noticed a funny thing the other day too. I don't know if you've looked into germ theory and terrain theory. I think it's somewhere in the middle because we are an ecosystem of bacteria.
Hmm.
There was that ancient study where they took the prisoners and they all had them like cough on each other, spit in their mouths, and do all these things, and none of them passed the diseases. It was only when he injected them straight into their brain that it got them really sick and stuff like that. And so I noticed the people that kind of believe in the terrain theory that it's, a natural shedding of your toxins and bodies over the year, like a tree in the fall.
Hmm.
They actually do more to respect the transfer of germs. Whereas the people that believe in germ theory that, oh, this person got sick and now I'm next to them and they got me sick, they're the ones that cough into their hand and then touch a doorknob. And it's like, well, if you believe that you can get someone sick, you should be taking the extra measures to not cough in your hand and then touch the doorknob, because in your theory, that's how you transfer the sickness.
Exactly. And isn't the mind so powerful that if you wake up tomorrow and you say to yourself, "Oh, I don't look that good today," that's first of the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So you
Yeah.
wake up, you're going to get your coffee. Your wife gets in. Oh, yeah, what's happening to you? You don't look that fit today. At the end of the day, you're sick at home.
Yep.
So that's one of the things. The other thing is, if you look at the contagiousness, right? I think people got more sick, but that's hypothetical
Yeah.
theory. People got more sick about washing them hands like 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day than the germs that are. These are millions and billions of germs and stuff like that that we have, bacteria that we need. We are, just like we said in the beginning of the podcast, we are fungi.
Yes. We're an ecosystem of bacteria and enzymes and,
Exactly. Exactly.
and what really blew up over that scandemic, the hand sanitizer
That's
and
what I mean. Yeah.
the Lysol and stuff. And what do those have on the label? 99.9%. Turn that upside down.
Six,
Six, six,
six,
six.
six. Yeah,
It's
but ah,
it's
and that's
weird.
all. It's really strange, weird, and it's I can't look at movies anymore. I can't look at TV series. Sometimes I got lost a little bit in well, some mill stuff on the internet.
Right.
uh YouTube. I like to play some music and stuff like that. And you know what? My life hasn't been better since then, because I was always, looking for the new movies and stuff like that. But if I look like a movie now, like I really like John Wick. I just saw the last part,
Yeah.
and it was so overdone.
Yes.
They squeeze it out until it's just like, okay, it was a really good format, and he checked his guns. If you see the training he did for
Oh yeah,
that
he's a
film,
badass.
that's a badass, and he is good in jiu-jitsu. He's gonna fuck you up, you know what I mean, if you run into some trouble with him.
But
But
in real life, one person doing all that damage and having all that damage done to them, no way.
no, no, when you throw him off the building and he just stands up just like, oh come on, okay.
Even in the newest one, at the end when he's going up those stairs, like no, all those like how many times he falls down the stairs? No.
No, that's I mean, and that's also what they do, right? They Okay, so you like it, we're gonna mock it. We're gonna
Yeah.
make it so exponential stupid that
Yes.
you have to realize, oh man. Did you saw the movie Nobody?
I no, I don't think so.
Oh, you got to check that one. I really like that one. It's
Nobody.
it's this guy like from Better Call Saul, that guy.
Okay. Yeah.
And there are some scenes in it. I think basically the story is he's a normal house father. There's a burglary in his house and he doesn't do anything. And it it messes with his head. And
Like as regret.
he got regret because he knows when he's doing stuff, then it turns out bad. But it's really filmed in a, he's been beat up, but you
Yeah.
can see that he's been beat up, and the whole movie you can see that he's probably going to get his money because he really was beaten up. You know what I mean? So it wasn't this Hollywood action exploding cars and like stuff like that. I usually used to look at the A Team, where everybody was spring with the AK-44 74 and with their jeeps that are flying it through the air and nobody got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, the old ones, the new movies, they have done a better job of showing the people take the damage and limping and needing medical care and showing that they slow down a little bit. There's been some movies that do that. Back to the John Wick 4, you know, I used to, I still have this problem. I've always analyzed movies like, oh, that bullshit. He's out. I count the rounds. He's out of ammo. That gun doesn't hold that many bullets. Uh, just things like that. My wife hates watching stuff with me because I constantly
Debunk.
I constantly analyze it and pick it apart. Like I've been trying to do work on that better, just enjoy it for what it is. And but there's I've been good at seeing the messages. So the message at the end of that with that staircase is how many times does he kick down them stairs, but to get back up again and keep going. That's the message of that scene, even though it's complete bullshit. But that's the point. Pick yourself up, keep going up the stairs and work and make your goal. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Don't let them stop you down. I tried to watch a new movie the other day, that new space movie, New Moon or Blood Moon. I can't remember what it was called, but it was terrible. It was a ripoff of Dune, Star Wars, uh, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they just took all these movies and did a ripoff, and then when you see, and it's just hard now to enjoy some of the space movies. Like we were watching this stupid show. It was what the hell was it called? It was about this alien that came to Earth and accidentally killed this guy, and then he's like they're like octopus where he can take the shape, so he steals the guy's identity. And
Okay.
I was able to actually just watch it, like even though it was so stupid, but it was funny, like
Uh-huh.
because he learns how to speak from watching like CSI or like one of the
Okay,
stupid
cool.
TV shows. So he's always saying lines and it doesn't make any sense, and he's always talking smack to this little kid. So I was able to watch that show and put everything out and just enjoy the comedy of it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's hard. Movies and stuff. A lot of my old, like I was thinking about your 10 questions. I was like, what movie? I'm like, I don't know what my favorite movie is. So many of them and I've never been a guy that just watches a movie over and over again like my wife. And when I met her and stuff, and her son, my stepson, they would watch movies over and over and over
Oh
again. I'm
yeah.
like, how can you do that? Like I don't know, like I know it's coming. Like I have been able to do that with someone. I see different things different times you watch it, you
Mm-hmm.
catch
Mm-hmm.
something you may have missed. But it's like I'd rather watch something new. I want the surprise. I want the not knowing, that suspense.
Exactly. My girlfriend, she looks like Supernatural, 15 seasons,
Yep.
all over again.
Yeah, my
Why
wife's seen
you
that.
have
Yep.
but hey, everybody, I mean, if they and when I was married, my girlfriend, she was really intelligent, but she looked at this garbage TV. Well, from my perspective, of
From your
course.
perspective, yes.
But she said also, like, I don't want to think about anything. I just want to see a stupid cooking program or char or stuff like that. Doesn't make any sense. Coming back to John Wick, he doesn't say much in these movies, right?
Right.
And you know what really, really fed me up about that John Wick 4? Are you pissed? And his line was, yeah.
I mean, Keanu, he is, he does train martial arts. He can shoot, like crazy in real life, and he's made some amazing movies, but
Mm.
he's not the best actor. And he's had some very terrible lines in a lot of movies. Let's be honest. Like he's had a lot of great movies, but he's had a lot of terrible lines. And when he speaks, it is kind of always the same. He doesn't have a different voice. It doesn't,
Yeah, but
play.
I really loved her. I really like him. He has
Oh
also
no, he's good. Yeah, he's a lot of great.
motorcycle brand. He's also one of the stars, if you call them that way, the celebrities
Yeah,
that you can, when you see him in a subway and you say, "Wow, Keanu, hey, hi, I'm Keanu."
yeah.
Just like the normal kind of guy. I really like that
You
because
ever
a lot
see
of
Johnny
people.
Mnemonic?
Sorry,
Did you ever see Johnny Mnemonic, where
no, I
he
don't
had the
think.
chip in his brain and was a courier for information?
Uh huh.
Johnny Mnemonic, yeah. And then like the brain of it all is a dolphin. That one was a trip. That came out 90s or whatever. It was a but now
Wow.
this new Neuralink and all this stuff, it's like, whoa, like
Oh yeah,
how
but
many
they put it up. They put it up,
yeah,
and here it is. You
yeah.
know what I really like to watch because I wasn't into Star Wars or stuff like that. Because even gaming, I did Wolfenstein. That was one of my first games. Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and of course, when you have the other games, that there was a little bit of the with the Nazis on the and the thrill and stuff like that, and the occult and stuff like that. But what I really like to watch, if it's gonna be a space movie, Iron Sky. I love that because it's so ridiculous. It's fun. You see dinosaurs walking around. You see Steve Jobs is coming up. It's so ridiculous. That's what I like. But
Right.
like a friend of mine, he just really digs into the science. Uh, this sci-fi. No, no sci-fi.
Yeah, science fiction.
Science fiction stuff. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you saw that he's going to Mars. Just what? And even when they came up with games like Halo and stuff like that, no, not me. I just want to have a gun or a knife. I did Soldier Fortune. I was on the American clan at that time,
Nice.
Tainted Angel clan. That was a really fun time. And nowadays, if you really do not have anything to do with your life, you can take a gaming chair, you can get your computer, you go on Twitch, and you make like thousands of bucks by playing the game and someone else is watching you playing the game.
Well, you can, but it's like
You have
all
to
the
be
other kind of
female.
scams. Yeah, you gotta, they say, oh, like OnlyFans. You just go on there and make all this money. Well, only a few people that are propped up are actually making that money. And yeah, like you said,
Exactly.
the girls on Twitch showing some cleavage while they're playing or playing in a bikini, they're getting followers. My stepson, he's a big gamer. He plays on Twitch. He has a channel. He's had different sponsorships from like energy drinks and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And he's a young, like I said, he's 27. We don't see eye to eye on a lot. I'm his crazy conspiracy stepdad but when he came to me the other day, because he learned about, I've known about Neuralink for years. He he learned about it probably a year and a half ago or so. And he came to me and said, have you heard about this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's crazy. And then he said, that's kind of evil. That takes away your humanity. And just him saying that to me, because I thought for sure he's going to be a kid that when they offer a Matrix pod, he's going to jump in it, take
Yeah.
whatever. And when he said that to me, I'm like, just that light of hope, that relief, like, okay, he's not, you know what I mean? He's not lost. Like he still gets it. Like, even though we may disagree and he claims to be an atheist and doesn't think, he thinks most of conspiracies are bull crap, he sees this as not right, you know what I mean,
Mm.
as evil. And it was just such a relief. It was such a made my whole day that day. I was just like,
Oh,
wow,
I can imagine that.
it was
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
And he's
Exactly.
such a good kid, it's like he's not my son, but he is. I met him when he was 15, but I've been there for 12 years now of his life, and it's just I still love him like he's my own and care for him, and I don't want there to be that disconnect of disagreement. I don't want it to be at the end of my life later where he's like, fuck, because I've had so many relatives like that I disagreed with or never connected with.
Hmm.
You know, I was raised in a stupid mindset by my father about blood relatives and married in relatives and different that disconnect of and that side of the family was never close, never telling each other I love you, never big hugging, never, you know what I mean, supportive
Hmm.
really. And so there's people on that side I never got close to, and now that they're gone, it's like, wow, all that information and knowledge I missed out on, and maybe conversations and connection and different things, opportunities that
The
were
feeling to
wasted
be
and lost.
loved.
Yeah, it's lost. It's just that's a big regret. So that's something I've been really trying to change in my life is
Hmm.
not having that disconnect and that separation. Like, hey, let's put some of this disagreements to the side and just worry about this part. And because we both have something to offer here.
Exactly. And the funny that you mentioned it because I don't have any kids. I never had this wish. And to be honest with you, I have my hands full with myself.
Yeah.
But I never had that. And I have a girlfriend now that has a daughter, and she's now 10. And I've been in her life since she is, I think, 3 or 4, something like that.
Awesome.
And now I know what it is. No, I don't know what it is, but I have a glimpse of what that is, and we can go along very good. That's really cool. And she's a very smart kid, which I also love that she's, and yeah, to see somebody growing up, and it makes my heart jump sometimes, when she says stuff, or when she comes to me. I'm a hugger. I'm a big hugger. I just want to hug people and stuff like that. And me and my girlfriend, we always hug when we see each other, and we laugh every single day, and really laugh our socks off almost, because there's always something that's bringing to the topic, and we talk a lot.
Mhm.
And why? Communication. Yesterday I had a very, very interesting podcast with Kay Monday, which is a communication coach. But communication is the most precious thing you can have in a relationship. If you don't say what you like or don't, things are going to be bad for one of you or both.
Yes.
And it's like, I was telling that the other day. There are addictions that I had in the past, and still struggling with, because it's a daily struggle. But I can handle myself. I can be in control. But one thing that was always in my system was porn. Just to be okay, I'm an honest guy. Just there, you
Yeah.
got it right. But the thing is, if I don't tell that to people that are going to be in my aura, in my field, in my social life, then things could get really worse when you get caught sometimes and stuff like that.
Yes.
And and it's not something like that I'm proud of, but I know that it's something that triggers me, and it's like ADHD. I always need something, like a new kind of uh, uh, like a kick, right? And nowadays I can handle it. When I do podcasting, I'm not looking at that stuff, and I got editing to do, so that's really good. But the thing is, um, okay, okay, listeners, I got a very funny story. I was living with my wife in a house, and I was going that weekend with a friend of mine to some festival stuff like that. And I had this Bluetooth speaker, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to charge the speaker so we can have some music in the van. And I had my office next to the bedroom. So my wife, she went sleep. I said, I'll go downstairs and, a little bit gaming, stuff like that. And I went downstairs and I was looking at some, X-rated stuff. And all of a sudden she pops in. And I said, hi. She said, hi. And she didn't say, what are you doing? Because I would say, yeah, what does it look like? But
Yeah.
there was a very nice ending, let me say that. But I said to her, we've been married now for several years and we know each other like 10, 15 years. You never come downstairs. Well, why did you come downstairs today? She said, I was lying in bed and I heard these weird noises coming out of your office. So she jumps out of bed, goes to the office, and listens to the speaker, which was still connected with my telephone that was downstairs, right?
Hey, no, I can totally relate. So in December, the 11th was the 11th was my 2-year anniversary of being sober from drugs and alcohol. This year, March is going to be, I believe now, 4 years of porno. Porno has been a very much harder addiction to break than drugs and alcohol. I grew
Absolutely.
up in a porno household. So my father always had Playboys everywhere. And my uncle, when he lived with us, had the hardcore magazines. My father worked with, there was a magazines here called Easy Rider and Biker.
Oh, yeah.
They're a motorcycle version of Playboy. So my dad would help find the bikes and the babes to get into a lot of those magazines. I had a computer when I was 14, 15, instant internet access. So I was hooked on porno my whole life. I can tell you when those studies that come out, how it affects your brain like cocaine and stuff, it does. And it messes up your interactions with the opposite sex, or even if you're gay. Like, I know that whatever your sexual preference is, if you are a porn addict and then you go in real life, it's not your expectations, what you think you should be doing. A lot of people become selfish. I was never a selfish lover. I was always so concentrated on pleasing the woman that I would sometimes sacrifice my pleasure. And I just know that for the whatever, however many years I was hooked on it, from like 15 till 38 or whatever, uh it ruined a lot of my intimacy and relationships with women and stuff that could have been so much better. I mean, I don't regret it because now I found my wife, and she's really the one that brought it to my attention of how evil it is. And I completely agree with like Alex's viewpoint on it. It's part of the degradation of humanity, and turning something that should be sacred between two people into a sport or a game, or in something that's kind of foul. And it's like, that's definitely one of the hardest addictions. And then when you see that you have a child and they've seen some of that stuff, you're like, oh my God. Like, when you have a child, it's so funny. You have this whole different level of love that's unlocked, caring, and then worry and responsibility. Like, I never wanted children growing up. I was under the brainwashing and the indoctrination. I thought the world, I was a pessimist. I just saw all the darkness. And when my wife told me she was pregnant, I freaked out at first and stuff. And then I had just this epiphany that it came over, that this is what it's supposed to be. I'm on my path. And then when my child was born and I held it for the first, I had a whole complete change to this optimist of, now that's how I got my shit together. That's how I found this new path and this new positivity and this new, now my negativity has turned towards dismantling the negativity and the evil. And it's
But
been,
thank you for sharing, Eric. That's
yeah,
very
it's been
brave, and
very good turnaround.
it's something that a lot of people dealing with. I have one about addiction, one episode, and it's not just like, oh, I don't do the porn. Oh no, you drink the coffee. No, I
Yep.
don't drink the coffee. Or you take the pills.
Yep.
There's so much about stumping us down as a human being, about our capacity, what we have. And the funny thing is, when you are, when I'm, for example, on a motorcycle vacation, I don't think about that stuff because I'm, just riding down the highway and having a beer. Maybe not a beer, then a tea, because I can skip that one now. But
Yeah.
it's a work in progress. It's also what my coaching is called, work in progress. It's nothing like here's the cheap trick and you got everything done. There are always challenges on your path, even some that you don't even know that you have to challenge yourself about. And it could be destructive relationships, could be destructive against yourself, your own self-esteem, stuff like that, or that you're too egoistic or too pessimistic or too, if you are the walking around sunshine, people would also be fed up sometimes. Just, oh, there comes sunshine again. But wow, great talk, Eric. I really love this conversation that we have.
Yeah, it always comes to yin yang, that balance, whether you're too religious or too scientific, too ego, too depressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly,
All,
exactly.
all
You need to
finding that
find a
balance.
balance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great talk, bro. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, we can go on for hours, but to, to be honest, I have calculated like 2 hours. Normally, I don't calculate, but
You're good.
because the guests are popping up nowadays, that I have to do the time schedules. I will have a talk with Colin Wright
Awesome.
uh, within an hour, so I got time for rendering because I didn't calculate that the first time, so I had two computers and stuff like that. But I will not let you go before I'm going to ask you 12 questions.
Okay.
All right, here they are, 12 questions for my guest. Eric, what's your perspective of God?
Like I said before, I believe God is the creator. So it is, the creation and everything, and it's that energy, it's the frequency, like how they say God spoke it into existence. And Ed Marby, I don't know if you know him, he's been on a few podcasts. He talks about the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Marby, I believe, and how it's inconsistent. And that pertains to so much of the scientific method and physics and stuff, is that consistency. So the dating of things, saying it's this many years old, the carbon dating is now possibly incorrect because they use the speed of light consistency for that. So I just know that there's a creator. God to me it's not a he or a she, it's pure energy. It's God is just where it came from. You can't have like the laws of thermodynamics. Nothing can't, or something can't come from nothing. So
Mm.
God to me is the creator. I love and try to do the best I can to help the creation while worshiping the creator.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. And what's your uh, perception of the devil?
Uh I like the fallen angel theory. I like that there was I don't know when it says, let us create in our image. And then, like I said, I read all the Sitchin books about the Sumerians and stuff, and how Enlil and Enki and all that, and it seems like that it's one of those angels or previous creations before us that got jealous of when we were created
Mm.
and led a rebellion against the creator and took some of the other, took a third or whatever it was, and came down here and started creating the abominations and mating with the human women and stuff, and abiding in all the sins and corrupting us and infiltrating all of everything to be this divide and conquer system that it is.
Mm.
And they say that they are legion, they are many, I don't know if it's one or a group or if they have a leader, but I love your track, your end song, the devil, your little devil song. I believe that there's a high a high up general of that, and the reason people do all this evil stuff is because they think one day they're going to be his right hand man or his buddy when they're just all useful idiots. That's how evil always works.
Hmm.
You're only good to serve your purpose, and then when you're done, you're discarded.
Wow. Oh man, we can go for hours, and we will
Yeah, we'll
definitely
keep
do a
it.
part two, because I have so many things that I want to touch based on. But I like it when the conversation is going like the natural flow, like you just have a conversation. We never met, we never talked to each other, and that's what I like somehow. It's like, that you go to a festival and you pop up with this guy at the bonfire. Oh, you want some tea? Oh, well, mushroom tea. Oh yeah, well, let's get it on. What I mean. Really love that. And what I also really love, and then I go to the 10 questions, is um, with every guest that I had on my podcast, I have this connection. And I think there's nothing like warp speed, blah, blah, blah. Don't don't give a shit what they call it. It's not there. But the relationship between you and me, with the frequency that we like 1,000 miles apart, and bam, it's there. That's
Yes.
creation, man. That's all there is.
Yeah, I heard you on the other shows and was like, this guy's cool. So I reached out to you just to say, hey, just to support you and stuff. And then I couldn't believe when you asked me to come on. And it's like, I'm not on here for me. I'm on here for you, to give you some content to help you keep growing, like hopefully my episode's good. And if not, oh well, I'm here to help, bro. It's not about me. I'm
Thanks.
you.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. And but yeah, the basic thing is that we want to help each other. And with each other, I mean everyone that listens to this podcast that will have some insights or thinks about something in a different way, that maybe looks it at a different way, and makes up their own plausible truth, if I would say. And respect and love each other. That's no matter what you think or where you come from. That's one of the things that I want to spread out with a message of disorganized production, because everything that's been organized has been so screwed up, ladies and gentlemen, fellow humans, that there has to be a narrative, and that's going to be disorganized production. We're going to talk about everything. uh, there are no strings attached. There's no what's it called, monetizing stuff. I just like to get into contact with people and talk to them about their specific topics. I mean, just what basically is spreading around in this episode. So thank you very much, Eric, for that. Okay, we have 10 easier questions than maybe did the first two, but what's your favorite color?
I would say green or silver.
What's your favorite music?
Music, I love all kinds of music. I make hip hop music, but I was a victim of that CIA mind control of the NWA as a child. But I just love the drums and the bass, and I love the lyricism. I love being able, the spellcraft,
Hmm.
being able to make the wittiest, coolest thing in like a couple of words that can explain a whole story. And I mean, I love country music. I love classical. I listen to classical music when I drive to work. I listen now to a little bit of Christian station the first few hours at work. Then I listen to podcasts for about 4 hours, and then or about 5 hours, 4 hours. I take a break for an hour, then an hour, and but I listen to everything. I like EDM. I like rock and roll. Music's a hard one because now when you see some of the evilness about it, like when you see that Bob Dylan interview selling their souls, and all of them, like the guy, I think one of them from Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young asked if it was the same. Yeah, but I love all music. Music is awesome.
Yeah, but it's the same like watching a movie and then waking up and just like, what the hell am I looking at? And that's the same thing. Like, uh, yeah, I talked about it in a few podcasts. I love metal and stuff like that, like Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, and stuff like that. And nowadays, I just think, oh, red flag, a red flag, red flag, But that's why I make my own music, and yeah, that makes sense. Eric, what's your favorite movie or series?
Like I said, movies are hard now. Like I used to, there were so many space movies I loved, and now I don't know. Like uh, Gangs in New York was really cool,
Hmm.
but it was fiction. I read the actual book. A lot of some of those characters weren't even alive at the same time.
With
Uh,
Johnny Depp, right?
no, Leonardo.
Oh, Leonardo. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, there's so many good movies. Series. I've always liked Lord of the Rings. I've always liked Harry Potter. Always liked lot. There's a lot of good series. Like I kind of got into the first part of Walking Dead, and then I saw what it was. It's a programming to make you believe in the viruses and the airborne and all that. Yeah, it's like yeah, no, it felt it's like the first season. So many series, the first season's good, and then it falls off. So it's like yeah, no.
Yeah, but that's with a lot of things that they put out. If it's going to be a movie or an album or whatever, they have this magical touch, and all of a sudden, oh, we can make money, so let's and then they screw it up, right there, right there. What's your favorite book?
Uh, there's so many of those too. I love uh we were talking about frequencies. I love that. I can't remember the Japanese author, but it's about the water when you play the good music and the
Oh
bad
yeah.
music and speak to it good and the forming of the crystals. That's a very good book. I love The Nine Faces of Christ is a really good book. I recommend to all people that are interested in the kind of a different version of the history of Jesus.
Hmm.
Uh, that's where I first learned the name Yeshua. I really love. Have you heard of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior? There's a he's
That
got two
rings a bell.
yeah he's got two or three books, and then the character he talks about, Socrates, this Russian guy in the book. There's a book about his life too, and that book's amazing. Um, The Teachings and the Ways of the Masters of the Far East is another good book series that's good. Uh, I loved Lord of the Rings growing up and the Harry Potter books. Game of Thrones books. I love them for how they're written. They're not written in chapters. They're written in characters. So it jumps
Oh,
around a lot like Pulp Fiction. It'll
oh
just say
wow.
this character's name, like Arya Stark, and it'll be what's going on through her perspective. Then it'll jump to Jamie Lannister. Then it'll jump to one of the other ones, and it just gives and it's not all in the same time sequence. It goes in future, back in the past. It jumps around. It's really cool how they wrote it like that. Very fun to read.
I didn't knew that, and I'm a very bad reader, so that's why listening to podcasts or audiobooks probably. But I didn't knew that, and that's fascinating when even sometimes when you read the book and you see the movie, just like, oh my god, haven't haven't they read the book? Just like, okay, it wasn't that hard. I mean, it has been written already what's happening, so why are they giving this twist and stuff like that? But what's your favorite kind of drink, beverage?
Um, I used to really, when I drank, I used to just like a good light beer. Like Finland, I used to really love Lapinkolta, and then there was one in Brazil called Boa Antarctica, which was a really good beer. I used to love
Strangles
margarita.
you? If you drink a few, it strangles you.
Yeah, no, they were more of a light, like a lager. You know,
Okay.
I went to the Guinness brewery in Ireland. I like a good Guinness. Uh, I used to love margaritas. Uh, but nowadays I would say my homemade tea. I quit drinking the Arizona teas because they have so much high fructose syrup. So now I make my own. It's like a citrus tea with fresh 100% fruit juice, some honey, some cinnamon, and turmeric,
Oh
and
yeah.
no sugar. And it's my new drink, man. I love it. Like I'm hooked.
I'm a little bit addicted to chocolate sometimes. So when I have it around, it's very hard for me to not to eat. But sugar in what I usually did is like a big cup of coffee, just like 3 or 4 scoops of sugar. Didn't do that for like 10 years now. went off with the sugar. And there's some sugar here that's for my girlfriend when she has a coffee here. But no, I don't want to do that stuff again. But well,
The coffee,
I'm not the same.
my coffee, I just put honey, and then I'll do the cinnamon and turmeric, and then I do my wife, she likes that the coffee mate hazelnut, and I know it's bad, it's soy based and it's got all the oils in it, and I'll put a little bit of that in there. But I usually only have coffee on the weekend for 2 days a week, and on the weekdays I might, when I'm rinsing it out and make, because I make it for her every morning,
Mm-hmm.
I, whatever the little swallow that's left in the pot, I'll just have that straight black for the weekdays, just that one little swallow, and then
Okay.
have my deluxe one on the weekend, or the strong end.
Yeah, the strong ends, exactly. And I think there's also some mushroom coffee nowadays, which is made of some mushrooms, not with the trippy effect, but just just like the health effect. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
want to try some of those. Yeah,
Hmm. What's your favorite food, Eric?
I love a good steak. I love barbecue. A good barbecue brisket or a steak. I really love. I don't know if it's traditional or not, because everything gets perverted in America. But like a sweet Thai curry soup, like the like a green or a yellow curry, spicy with the bamboo shoots and the bell peppers and the Thai basil and some chicken in there over some rice. Like I always said, if I was a poor Thai man and all I could get was just that broth on some rice, I'd be okay. But
Uh-huh.
I do love a good barbecue, a good steak or a brisket.
Hmm. It is called also the Tom Kha soup, I think.
I don't know the Thai name. Uh,
But
over here it's just it's like a curry soup. You just
yeah, I think I
could
had
call it like
something
a
like that.
green curry, or a, I used to do what was it? I used to do one of the stir fries. I can't remember the name. It had a funny name with the fat wide noodles, but that one's pretty good too.
Hmm. Eric, what kind of clothing do you like to wear the most?
At home, I usually just wear like some basketball gym shorts. Usually no shirt. I put a t-shirt on for you. I got my firmamental.
Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen, a firmamental T-shirt. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna drop down the link below, so check it
out,
out for the merch.
out and about, I wear in the summertime cargo shorts, or in the wintertime cargo pants. I like the side pockets. I keep my stuff in there. Uh, and just a t-shirt, a hoodie, whatever. That's how I do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's my favorite to go normally too. Nowadays I have something else, but that's completely different. But I'm gonna make something out of that, so it's gonna be like the cargo pants with stuffing bags and stuff like that. So that's gonna be a great one. What's your favorite holiday destination?
Just anywhere in nature, away from everything. I've been fortunate. I've traveled all over this world. I've been to a lot of places. A lot of tropical. I like the beach. It's fun. The ocean's super scary. I've had some crazy adventures in the ocean. uh, I love the forest. I love the desert. I just love anywhere that's away from the city, just where you're actually in the nature. You know what I
Wow,
mean? I can enjoy anywhere. Like so.
I can I can agree with that 100%. No, no, nothing.
Yeah, the sounds of nature and not the city.
Exactly, exactly. Last two questions, Eric. What's your favorite quote?
That was a hard one. I was trying to think of quotes, and I'm so bad at remembering like movie lines, song lines, quotes, and stuff like that. Uh, but the one lately that's been sticking with me, the strong men make good times, and good times make weak men, and weak men make bad
Hard
times,
time.
hard times, and then the cycle repeats. That's I don't know who did that quote, but I really like that one. Like that's a
It
good one.
is, and it's yeah, it's something that resonates with a lot of people. That when you see something when the veil is a little bit lifted up, then that these kind of quotes they resonate more and more. Just like, oh man,
Yeah.
that it makes so much sense then, right?
Yeah, I used to get a lot of stoic quotes like from the Greeks and different people throughout history on my phone, and they're all so good. Like they all resonate. So it's hard. That's a hard one.
Hmm. Maybe I should break down, favorite music. What's your favorite band in country? What's your favorite band in rock and roll? But you got all these subcultures and sub things that.
Do a whole music one another time. We can do.
Yeah, exactly. What's your life's motto, Eric?
It's a combination. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And try to treat everybody better than you want to be treated. That there's that golden rule: treat everyone how you want to be treated, but try to do that extra step. Try to treat everyone a little bit better. Just try to make that extra effort, that extra, spread the love.
Wow. Amen to that, brother. It was a pleasure to have you, Eric. It was really a pleasure. I want to definitely do a part two because we didn't touch base on everything that was in my homework, or better said, that Snake wrote it down. And we touched base on a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Please send me some links of the things that you talked about, like the books and stuff like that, because I want to post them in the show description, as they say, or the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send you a list of those. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And well, beautiful fellow human, thank you very much for having or hopping on this podcast. And we definitely gonna talk, text, and get around with each other, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yes. Another spiritual warrior, ladies and gentlemen, fellow humans. Wherever you are on this beautiful plain earth where we live, have a good morning, a good day, or a good evening. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, God bless.
Thank you. Running for all my life with the devil on my heels. He wasn't always kind, and he couldn't fulfill my dreams. I've been running for all my life with the devil on my heels. He wasn't always kind, and he couldn't fulfill my dreams. He's a pain in the ass, black as a night. God, show me the light. He's a pain in the ass, black as a night. God, show me the light and hold me tight. For I've been running for all my life with the devil on my heels. He wasn't always kind, and he couldn't fulfill my dreams. He's a pain in the ass, black as a night. God, show me the light and hold me tight.